Start recording. Okay, so where we left off, we were in the middle of this thing. We've got a dirty great to-do work in progress. I think calculate bounds for the minus box. No, actually that's correct. Is it?
I don't remember.
I feel like...
I mean, we have minus size.
Yeah, we've got the plus box. Yeah. Why?
Yeah, right.
Oh, no, I was thinking we were doing the minus box because we were coming from the left for the majority of the last session. So we've got to do the minus box, we've got to get the size of the slider, draw the highlights and make it clickable. So, this is the fun part where I say, Daniel, let's do that.
Okay. Yeah. I love starting work at... Okay. I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna make the minus bounds. I'm just gonna put this together. Minus size. And what is this? Layout bounds. Minus size. I probably have to think about this a little more. Okay, so what is the minus bounds? That's okay. That's from the right. It's okay. So the right, then. Oh, actually, this is the left plus the right minus the size of the box. Okay, so in order to do this one, it's going to be the. Why don't we just do left minus the size of the minus box? That way, less to do. And minus bounds, we can draw that. We can use the same color.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, let me just fire this up and
Okay.
see where we're at. Just drawing the bounding box. Oh boy, having a slow day today on the oh yeah, I failed miserably.
Huh. I'm not seeing any minus bounds.
Yeah. Whoopsie.
Well,
Okay,
let's...
so what did I do wrong here? The minus size is the minus text. Yeah, sure. The position Y is fine. Bounds position X. Oh, I know why. Because I started from the left of the entire line and then I went backwards, so I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to actually just do what I was doing before. Suck it up, I guess. Oh yeah, we need the bounds of the bar, actually.
Okay. Well, why don't we...
grab that. Yeah. Well, do we even have a means of achieving that? Because right now we're kind of drawing it, and we're not measuring the O's and the equals's, so we have to kind of grab a... We have to stack up bounds X, I guess. I don't know. Something like this. Balance X plus equals resources font. Measure string. This is kind of jank, but whatever.
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. It's right, because it's a size. So I'm just gonna grab that, and then I'm going to truncate it into an integer. Apparently. Okay. Okay, so then...
well, you've it's an integer because you just put a var there, so we could make it a float.
Oh, yeah, I could. All right. You're trying to wean me off the sweet, sweet taste of bar.
Oh, you know, like I do it sometimes, but it's always important to think about what your types are going to be.
Yeah, but I mean, we have F, and this is the literal value, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
I know it's a 4, but hey, it doesn't matter. I got no opinion. We don't have time for waxing. Okay, bounds X. So this is just giving me like the I don't know. I think this is gonna be a waste, but I'm doing it anyway. This is like a pip, I guess. Okay, so that gives me how long the bar is going to be, and then right. So now I don't think I need a bar bound specifically. I just needed the X coordinate. So if I take the left, actually we want to take the this is the right side. So let's take let's take the whole thing here. Probably more efficient ways.
Well,
but
I mean, you can go plus bounds dot position dot x to start from the start of the
oh, of
plus.
course.
So
Yeah, that's right. That was a gimme. Oops. Okay, so then, yeah, start at the plus bounds, take off the bounds of the bar, and then take off the bounds of, minus. So I take off the bounds of the minus because we want to actually
oh, I
draw
see you're
there.
doing the minus.
Yeah. And that should actually do it this time. Let's try. Yep, we're good.
Nice.
Alright, so that's that one thing done. And then we need to calculate the size of the slider. I guess we kind of did that already. Draw the highlights. We did that. Okay, make it clickable. Okay.
Well,
so
actually, I guess, yeah, I'm just like, I don't know why I was trying to draw it because we don't actually need to draw it. Yeah, so we're drawing the highlights. Now we just need to make it so that you can click on it and it behaves correctly. So let's start with that one. Although
that's a little bit.
the highlights was supposed to be when you hover them, just like the regular items get a hover color. So we might also want to do that.
I see. Yeah, because right now we're just. Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay, we can do that. Sure. Okay, we'll do that first. So where are we? Draw. Is this this is the hover bit. So we might as well. I don't know if we want to do 2 contains checks or not, but we kind of feel like we'd want this one at least.
Well, we know. Well, actually, I guess if you wanted to be weird, you could make a slider with the null ID. So I guess, yeah, you probably do want that particular condition.
Yeah, I don't know why you would, but yeah, who knows. So maybe, I mean, I don't know if it matters if we're gonna end up calling the contains more than once. Probably doesn't matter, but I'm gonna end up doing this anyway. And then I guess if we hit inside the layout, if we don't hit inside the layout, then I'm just trying to get, I don't know. I don't want to make multiple checks for something we already know is inside a thing, but I guess it doesn't really matter.
Well, I guess you're checking inside the layout for the the entire line, and
right. Well, I was thinking we might as well keep that, and then we would just draw over that. With
well, let's just leave that in there for now because we might want to come back to it. So let's just copy up this bit of code, which is our
I see what you're saying.
generalized highlighting code. And in fact, we did do some work to clean this up, so we don't. In fact, I don't know why I still have that. But we have draw AABB, so unlike, well, yeah, so we should be able to factor this a bit more nicely up here.
Okay. Well, I'll just drop the. So this is the layout, right? So contains. We'll grab the mouse position one more time for luck. There. And then we'll just draw the plus bounds.
Yeah, so you should be able to just delete this whole draw statement and just use the draw AABB that we wrote earlier. So it's actually
right. Easy. Yeah, plus bounds, and then I don't know, maybe just like red times. Or no, I guess green is a better.
yeah,
color for
sure.
that.
I mean, that's a stylistic thing. We don't need to really worry about that. because I imagine that we'll come back through and be like, now let's make it pretty. So,
Yeah, I just
oh, you're keeping the old ones in there too, just to be sure. Good plan.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good.
I've made an error, but I think I know what it is.
Good old copy paste. Yeah.
Pretty much. So,
Okay.
so I'm gonna just yank out the old highlights. So we now need to, well, before we make it clickable, do we want to have it the case that when you hover over it, see how it's turning blue? This is clickable and it's blue, whereas this is not clickable. So maybe what we want to do is make the whole row not necessarily highlight when you hover it. So how would we do that?
Well, we have to have some way of reporting back to the draw method that it's not, that the region is not active, I guess. That's a little bit component-y, isn't it, in a way that, like, I don't know, it'll probably end up encapsulating something, or we're gonna end up passing a lot of junk to draw entry.
Well, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to come here with my draw AABB, and I'm going to come down here and clean up this code.
Oh, that's a good point.
Layer.bounds color, and just copy up our aqua. So what we want to do is, for a slider, we don't want to run this line of code.
Right. Is that leaky though? Like, I mean, I guess my lesser self wants to like abstract that and be like, just, you know, have a method on some. Yeah. See, then I'm thinking controls, and we don't want to go there, because I was thinking, well, we can have something like get active or get hoverable rect. Or something, you know, like give me the bounds for what's hoverable in this line, and then I can just do a check on that. But I think that's probably too advanced. So yeah, fine. We can just do a switch on the type. Well, how do we do that? In fact, we don't have that information when we call draw entry. Do we?
Mm-hmm. We do not.
We do not. Okay, so we gotta pass data in either way. So okay. So what are we passing in? We're just passing in text and ID. We probably need to pass the entries bounds as a AABB. Is that awful?
Well, that's a thing we could do. However, draw entry as it stands right now is not only calculating the bounds, it's actually changing the bounds as well by slapping this one in.
It's doing a lot of stuff maybe a draw method shouldn't be doing.
Possibly. Although it is only, 26 to 95, so is that 20 maths? 30 lines of code.
Yeah, I hear you. I just, like, there's a bunch of things that I want to do that I think, I don't know. We have an entry. We need to know what part of the entry is hoverable. Now, but we don't have the type of thing it is. So either we need to pass in some enum or something for the control type, or we're gonna have to encapsulate the control types and then ask them for the bounds. So I think you probably want something cleaner. So maybe, I don't know, is an enum out of the realm of hygiene?
I don't think we need, like, so this is the thing, and this is why I wanted to pull into this little detour slightly, and that is I think you're trying to abstract it more than it really needs, because all we need to do, the only thing that we need to do, is cause this line of code to not run.
Right.
And there's
I guess a bool is what you're asking for. Then.
So yeah, there's two ways that I can see this going. the simplest, and it's what I'm leaning towards, is just sticking in a boolean and saying, do highlight. The other option, and it's what we've been doing for the label, and that is just passing in the default ID. Now that has a bit of a problem because for our keyboard control, we are doing this business here.
Although that's kind of true, though. I mean, if it's a default ID, we know we can't hover on it. But then,
well,
that's
the
slider. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, when we run it, we do want, when we keyboard down to it, like our keyboard controls still work, and so the keyboard has to have this little caret in front of it, and so if we were to pass in default ID here, then this block of code would drop out, and we don't want that to happen. So one way of doing it is to add a bool, and that's obviously the very quick and dirty way, and the other way would be to split this out into another method. So my thinking at the moment is, even though draw entry is kind of doing double duty as
mutator of state.
It's mutating the text that's coming in. It's sort of more thought than this amount of code really warrants. So the way that I would approach it is I would add the bool, and I would probably stick in here to do different method. And in fact, I'd move it down to... In fact, I'd probably even add caret text in a different method. And so I'd put that thought there and just be like, well, I'm going to let that sit, because it may be the case that this boolean is the last thing this needs. Bool, draw, highlight.
Okay.
And if that is the case, then I'd, like, the code is simple enough. No one needs to know or care. They just turn the highlight on, turn the highlight off. However, if suddenly we want this code to do like a third or a fourth thing, then I want to come in and I want to see this and be like, well, I'm going to add the third thing, but we've also got thing 1 and thing 2, and so let's split it out into 3 methods instead of 2.
Right.
So it's sort of like just holding on, just letting the code be a little messy, I guess.
Just let it simmer.
Yeah. And so then that simply becomes a modification on all of these. And in fact, we could be really lazy about it and make it a default parameter. And so now...
Well, I actually thought that, like, we're gonna do the same thing with checkbox invariably.
Well, I don't know.
No, it depends again. It depends. Like, I keep thinking that the box is sorry. I keep going back to that idea.
I mean, it's not a bad thought. I do like the Windowsy thing with it.
We probably don't want to turn it on for label either, because labels aren't.
Well, label's already dropping out due to this condition, but it also label doesn't want the caret highlight either.
That's right.
So label's already covered.
Is it?
Yeah. Which is why you're not getting a highlight.
We're already. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, I passed in false there. I guess it's just for.
Oh, it's fair enough.
Extra goodness. Okay, that looks good. All right, so I guess we can do the clickety thing now.
So the final thing is to make it clickable.
Right. So this one. Okay, where am I? Oh, I lost where I am in this world here. Slider. Okay. So this one's a little bit statey because we probably want to hold down the button and drag the slider bar. Oh no, we're just gonna do the I guess for now we'll do the buttons, and then we'll have to worry about the clicking on the O because we haven't done that yet.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're really keen, I think we'll save it for next time because it's makes it a little more complicated. But yes, clicking and dragging the O, and also doing the Windows thing where you like click on the above the thing and it pages up, and you click there and it pages down. Those are some things.
Not to mention, yeah. Well, also the keyboard thing. Like if your caret is on it, you should be able to change the values with left and right. Say a common thing.
Oh, sorry, what?
Well, the slider. If our focus is there, so we have the caret. So we keyboarded down to the slider.
Yeah.
Control. We should be able to press left and right, right? Oh, we already do.
Yeah, I was like, we have that.
Wait a minute. Yeah, we have
That is a thing we do.
Yeah.
Although that was weird.
Okay, well, yeah.
I just had.
What just happened?
Oh, I found a bug. If you grab the thing and start dragging it around, suddenly the caret moves to the wrong spot. So we'll deal with that at a later point.
That's one of those like window has focus type things, right? Or is active, I think. In
Yeah, that's bizarre. So we've got a bug. So we'll deal with that later as well. So let's keep going. Let's just finish up with the.
Yeah, the simple button version of the activation. So
Yeah.
mouse button went down and not layout, but this is gonna be plus bounds, stains, mouse position. I hope that's cached. Probably is. Okay. Whatever. Hopefully FNA caches it. And then
Nope.
AA. And then we're gonna. Well, I think that's pretty much it. We'll just do what the right but. Oh, you know what? Why don't we? I don't know if maybe we can inline these. If
I
keyboard
feel like
went down.
I feel like we
or
could.
That. Then. Whoops. Just happened there. Oh. Then do that, and then we'll do the same thing here. Oh, and minus bound. Whoops, minus bounds. Okay, be as easy as that. All right, so. Okay.
I'm glad yours is working. I, on the
Oh.
other hand, have made a boo-boo. That
Be
is,
a copy paste.
if key left or oh, I have found a slight bug. If you want to run yours again, and we'll just replicate it on yours.
Oh, did I not put the scoping variables on mine?
So just see how your caret is on this value. Just hit down twice on your keyboard and then try and click the buttons on the slider.
Because I'm in the focus block.
Yep. Easy peasy.
Alright. Yeah, okay. So, right, yeah, right. Because we were just talking about how the keys get, when they're focused, they get the ability to move left and right, and then I ignored my own. I guess we can say else in this case. No, because we don't care if it's focused or not. Because if it was focused, then we couldn't do the thing, so never mind. But we'll just drop this in here. And I'll do the Dantic thing here.
Well, I mean, you can do it that way.
You wouldn't, eh? You would, like...
I would look at this because I wouldn't want to duplicate this code too much. Because then you've got
well,
4 copies of essentially the same thing.
yeah, you're right.
So
That's a better thing.
yeah, and I mean this is not a particularly difficult transformation to make. So I can't remember what focus index is, so I would do that, and then it's just a simple matter of doing basically the same thing as we have here, but using focus index instead. So and you know, when I come across something it's like, oh, I don't remember what focus index does, I'll probably go up and find all references and be like, what do you do? Okay. And so this is an interesting thing, and that is as you go through and I guess find the focused item, you set the index for the update for the end routine, which is interesting, which lets us do the plus minus on the keyboard. So the fact that that is happening for every single focusable thing, because it's happening here and it's happening here, that's kind of interesting. You know, that's a little bit of code duplication, but I'll let it sit for now.
But maybe we'll hoist it into a method like has focus.
Well, you know, it's like why not make it fairly immediate mode? It's like just internally, it's like, okay, and text, or you know, ID after we called internal ID.
Right.
So that's
I still don't think in that way naturally. It's still kind of think about it before we. What have I done? What have I done? What is this guy doing? Oh, is that items?
I have no idea.
What is this just sitting here doing? What's the end of your slider method?
Yeah, that items.add, I don't know where that came from.
Okay, well it's gone now. What's this result? Oh, that's, I gotta scope this differently.
Have you got a curly bracket issue? I think you've got a curly. I would start hitting undo.
Fine, but not before I copy this whole thing out.
Certainly a wise move.
So,
I think I saw it. So that should be in a fairly safe place.
Alright, so. Boom. There we go.
So that worked. Nice.
You don't still have this items though. That's the part.
That's an excellent question. Let's items.add. That is.
Oh, yours is inside is read only. Mine is outside is read only. I guess it happens to not matter.
No, I think I've lost that piece of code somewhere along the way, which might be the cause of a bug.
Oh, you don't have it.
No, it's up in checkbox. Well, I'll put it back. Let's call that a thing. Although, yeah, this is read only is interesting as well. So.
Yeah, adding something. Oh, we already know that item list is not going to be replicated on the network, so because it's just a list of hashes, which means it's fully local.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably fine to be outside of the scope.
Yes. Well, I'm going to make them all match for now, just to be on the safe side. But yeah, so all of this wiring for a keyboard focusable item, I feel like. Well, yes, that's a good question. Does even when you tab off it, does the buttons work? So that's good. So we got that working. Yeah, excellent. So yeah, what I was saying is I feel like you know, we're kind of getting to the point. Like we've found a couple of oddities. Like okay, you know, we've got this items.add thing. We're doing this, you know, filling out the items count focus index thing.
Read only thing. Yeah, we got a lot of things going on.
So I feel like, you know, it might be time to be like, to do this immediate mode. It's like, all right, forward focus item, and then I don't know, maybe pass text and ID, and just have that do the processing that's common to all three. So, in fact, why don't we just do that now, seeing as we're already halfway there? It's fairly simple. Let's make these all the same. and that'll just hoist up the common code. And you know, I don't mind the fact that, you know, we're doing some checks twice. So generate method, and we'll just slip this up.
Kind of lost you there.
Oh, okay. So basically, I've made this private method.
Yeah, I made that too, but I don't
And
know.
I've stuck it up near end, and let's just start filling this method out and see what it fills up with. So, like, I mean, what of those 3 items we can keyboard focus? You know, what can we pull out?
Okay, sorry, hold on. I'm
Yeah, I think above end is probably where I put it.
losing the plot here. Okay, so all right, we're gonna add it here.
Mm-hmm.
Text ID here. We already have it here on the slider. Okay.
So I think start with item, because that's obviously the simple one.
Right. Okay. So we're trying to probably combine both of these. Maybe not.
Well, I feel like this is actually somewhat of a bug. Like, we're filling out this focus index for going up and down, and then over in end we use the focus index to determine what our new focus is. So the way that the code works is we fill out this items list, and if we you know, if we are focused, we are the current focus index, and then in end we do the processing to that allows us to scroll up and down or select up and down with our keyboard.
Right.
And that goes through this list, and then focus itself is the thing that is persisted between frames, because it is the hash, the actual identifier, and that's the same no matter how many items we add or remove. So I think
There's probably a way to get rid of focus index, isn't there?
I don't think so. But I mean, we'll find out. I think if we start to pull it all into a common thing, so I think that those are the ones to target, the things that manage the keyboard focus, which is focus index and the items list. Those are the ones to
I'm getting, yeah, my brain's saying what? Because we do that at the end. This is a method that's going to get called multiple times, because we have multiple items in a a single layout call. So I'm not exactly sure how we're gonna take a thing we do at the end and make it like we've already got this like to do here that's talking about maybe this shouldn't be here. I guess maybe that's what we're going towards. I
don't think I have that to do. And I don't think we need to actually implement in begin and track across frames to implement wraparound. Like, I feel like we could actually in fact, have we got wraparound? Like, this should do wraparound. I think we did that. I think we've just done that.
Oh, I see. Okay. Very well. Yeah, so I guess, yeah, I'm still a little confused. Like, what we want in here, I thought what we were doing here is getting rid of this.
Yep.
Somehow. So I guess this has to return, like, a bool, right?
Yes. I mean, we could always check this twice, but
no reason to.
Like, yeah, I guess, bool is focused.
I keep losing my spot. Check. It's all slider. Okay. Oh no, we were in item because that's the easy one. Okay, so I guess that in here. Okay, I gotta think here. Keyboard focus item. What is this saying?
well, we're trying to pull as much common stuff between item, checkbox, and slider that has to do with the keyboard focus into this one method. So I've already identified like is focus. So let's, this code was id equals focus, and so that's a hash. So already we know that this has to be return id equals focus. So we've made a start, let's say.
Right.
And so in fact this should still be functional.
Yeah, just gonna make sure I implement it for all of the ones that use it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. It is focused, yep. It's focused, sure. The slider is focused. Although I don't know if it's incidental or not, but I suppose we should be also doing something with the is read only, because I think we only want. Well, it seems like we're only we're only checking is focused if it's not read only.
Well, okay, so I feel like we actually have a bug, and the fact is, this line of code here is changing the focus, and we know that the focus is actually, so I'm up in end, is actually something that we want to like not change when we read only. So I feel like this whole end method should be if not is read only. So the whole end method, in fact, is running around changing the value of focus. And I mean, these lines here actually don't matter, but they also, aren't going to hurt, because once we've done this line, we throw away, we no longer care about what the focus index is.
Right.
So I feel like that's all we need to do.
We can get rid of all the is read onlys and the rest of the methods then.
Well, no, because we need that to always return false when it is read-only, because effectively every single call to this...
That's what So we want to push it into the keyboard focus item, right? Because is focus implies is read-only, not read-only. Does it not?
We could make that implication. I'm going to say no, don't make that change, at least not just yet, because this is mostly dealing with the keyboard focus. So over here, where is focused, and this is focused is kind of a misnomer. It's more like is keyboard focused, whereas this is mouse focused, and this obviously doesn't have an is focus check. This needs its own is read only check, and so it's sort of conflating those two concepts.
Well then, this shouldn't be in the... Oh no, never mind, I get it, okay. Blah. I'm just trying to... Okay, what else can we put into this item here? Focus index equals items count. That's probably something that happens every time. Let me just double check.
Well, there it is again.
It happens in checkbox and it happens in item. Does it happen in slider? It does. So let's kill that guy. Because if it is focused, then this should be being set by the...
Yep. And so that's...
We'll just kill that, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was sort of... That's what I saw, and I was like, oh, if this is true...
What is the focus index if it's not true? We don't care?
So if it's not focused, then yeah, it doesn't change.
Okay. It doesn't get set to 0. Yeah, okay.
So that's good. We just pull out some code. In fact, we can make this code look a lot like this code now. So it's like, in fact, we could clean this up and be like, if it's focused and they hit space, or if we want to do it the same as the slider, if the mouse is over the thing and we clicked, then
There we go.
and I believe
Less code.
yeah, this is great. This is less code.
Oh.
I believe we can. Yeah, I always if I've got ands and ors in there, I was like I don't remember the operator precedence rules for that, so I just like brackets everywhere.
Oh, I meant you put the or up there, like whereas I like to put it there, and so.
Oh yeah,
Like we talked about that last time.
yeah. So yeah, I would put brackets around those because I don't remember the rules. But if you're happy that you remember the rules, then
I
you
have
can.
a stupid little tool that does it for me. So.
Okay, so it's
I'm littering my code for others without brackets. So. But hey, it works for me for now.
that's all right.
All right. Anyway, yeah. Item is good. Checkbox. Get rid of this line.
So we pretty much can copy this down into checkbox because checkbox actually does its thing afterwards.
Oh, you actually copied the whole thing.
I just grabbed the whole thing because checkbox is almost a copy paste of item,
True.
certainly for that bit of code.
See, that's the thing. Well, I'll ask you another night about whether you would make this. You would make this like chunk of code itself almost like immediate mode. But is that going too higher order? Like we're trying to build a UI.
Well,
With
so
this thing at that point, or
this is the thing. It's like item and checkbox are very similar pieces of code. That's fine. But then when you get to 3, it's like, all right, item, checkbox, and slider. And now we've got bits of code that are copied between 3 different methods. And then it's like, oh, well, maybe we'll want to look at that. So I think, and yeah, in here we've just got ID equals focus here. And I've just replaced it with is focused because we...
oh yeah.
Now, why do I feel... Oh, okay. I was like, yeah, your tool is doing the, the brackets thing. So, there's one last thing that relates to keyboard focus that's in all 3 methods. And so just because we're close to time, I'll just point out it's like items.add ID is the same in all of the methods.
Okay. Just before we do
Yeah.
that, this text size thing is not being used. Can we
Oh.
just kill it?
I think we can just
don't
kill it.
know.
I don't think I
forget
even
why.
have that.
I don't know why I forget. It must
I-
have been like a
yeah.
start of some idea that didn't pan out.
I think that's just something that was in yours for a while.
All right. Oh yeah. So where was it? Oh yeah, items at. Okay. I'll just get rid of that. Checkbox. Oh wait a minute. Yeah. See, in my checkbox, I have it inside the not is read only. I think that's what you're referring to.
Well, we might have to make some adjustments there, but
This one is outside the is read only. And this one is inside.
see, I have a sneaking suspicion that has something to do with our bug that we were having before, where and I'm going to run mine and just see so that was the bug before. So when I click and drag this, it's always correct. Whereas because in theory items and focus index should not matter, but if I wrap this in if is read only, I think I can wrap the whole wrap that much at least.
You want to say it's not read only because.
Oh yeah. Well, in fact, there you go. So you can see the bug has occurred because now that's the case. In fact, and if I, I've got the inverse, but if I start dragging it around, oh no, okay. Anyway, you get the idea. So I'm sure was the cause of the bug. So this should in fact not have been inside is read only. And so I even wonder if the reason it was there is just because it got moved as we shuffle this code around.
Should we get rid of text now because it's not used?
We certainly could.
We're
Why
gonna
not?
let it simmer 'cause maybe.
Why not? Let's just zap that fellow real quick. Because we can always bring it back if we need it.
Right.
And it doesn't need to know about the text value. And so now we've pulled out a whole lot of common code, which sort of is that compression oriented thing. It's like, this is common, and now it's in a single method. And I think I've fixed a bug. So that's
Oh, I should check if my stuff still works. Come on, computer. You can do it. Oh man. Something different is happening on mine. You probably can't even see it, but mine's like cascading into a horrible array of terribleness.
a horrible array of terribleness. How so?
It's like every frame is. Yeah, you can kind of see it right now on my screen. You can't see it as fast as me because of the latency, but mine's like everything's flipping to focused. It's like it's complete. It's pretty great.
All right. Well, we are.
I can probably fix that off stream. I'll figure it out.
If you like.
It's probably brackets. Let's be honest.
Well, let's just have a quick look at. I mean, that's something to do with focus, and we pull all that code up into focus item. So we can probably just really quickly figure out where it is. So this matches mine, and it's like, all right, I'm sorry.
-1.
Ah, yeah. Sorry, I slipped that in there because before the code was doing the add after it got the items count, but now I'm doing the add before, and so the index is off by 1. So that's
everything's back to normal.
That's a real simple one. Yeah. So I just did that. It's like, oh, I'm moving that code. We'll fix that at the same time.
Yeah, not this guy.
All right.
All right.
So I'm gonna call it there. I think that's a pretty good session. Now we have everything working. This now looking at slider, it's like, oh, this code is looking a bit fat. It's a bit.
Yeah, definitely with the bounds too. There's probably something you can do there.
So maybe there's something we can improve there, because this bit of code here, this is all very nice and neat and tidy, but this feels fat. This feels too much. So
well, we have drawing code we don't actually need.
Do we?
And we also.
Oh no, because that's our hover code.
Well, I guess.
So I feel like
we need the balance. We don't need to draw it necessarily.
So it could just be that.
I guess
it could just be that method just has to have that much stuff in it. It just now that these ones are all svelte, it's sort of like.
I feel like there's another immediate mode thing here with the plus button and the minus button. We can probably do some kind of region or like clickable region type of code.
Well,
say.
Yeah. I feel like maybe we could, and at some point, it may be the case that we want to be able to say, and I think ImGUI, Dear ImGUI has this. It's like, all right, here's checkbox, and it's like, UI same line, UI end same line, something like that, and then we can just go checkbox. Right. And have it all on the same line. And I feel like if we implement something like that, then for the slider, then we could just use the same mechanism to just lay things out horizontally, including our controls that we insert ourselves because we're a slider. So maybe that's something we could look at doing, and we could also look at doing the click and drag the actual slider itself.
Should we be worried or thinking about network yet? The whole choosing to do it at the end means you're doing it at the in the middle type of thing, or
yeah, I feel like at some point very soon we should also look at adding, and it's on my list, adding the code that does the serialization for the network, and doing it as like remember how in River City we had like they call it at like Netflix or something, like the chaos monkey that like constantly sits there doing network integrity checks even in single player, and it's like, well, you've got a network bug, it's going to explode. And so I feel like we should add the networking code and turn that on, and perhaps even we should actually fully network this in some way. It would be kind of cool to have like both of our machines connected and have like two menus appearing on screen in sync, because that would be certainly it would be a nifty thing to do, and it would let us actually test things on a real network, which is always the thing. It's like so far we've done this in abstract, and I don't feel too bad about it, because the things that are networked, it's like, well, we know that these are not we know that
Yeah.
these are not networked, or this one. We know this is networked. We know these aren't networked, and we know this isn't networked, and we know that this isn't networked. And so we've got a kind of mix there. And so we know that the only thing that is actually networked, because it is retained between frames in a critical banner, is this one. But we do have a lot of other stuff to deal with. But 1, 2,
Well,
3,
we
4,
have the
5,
state
6,
of
7,
the
8.
slider and so on. We do have the.
Oh, well, the state of the slider is networked, but as we are this is the magic of the is read only thing, is like the state of the slider only changes if it's not read only. So we also have that, but it's protected. So it's feeling like it's getting to the point where we don't want to add too much more stuff before adding the networking, but I'm not panicking about that yet, as sort of a feel, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Are we going to be building with the? Are we going to be using Pixel 3D networking? Or are we going to use?
Yeah, the plan is to pull the
Serializer?
there's I've got the list of what needs to be pulled out, and I should probably actually just run ahead like a couple of episodes and just check everything works. And I know that you've actually done this because you've been building on Pixel 3D, so it might be quite quick. But yeah, the plan is to pull out the 3 or 4 libraries out of Pixel 3D that we need to do networking, and just slap them in and start using them.
Okay, that's interesting. I guess one question I'll have later is whether like using Pixel 3D, we're not necessarily kind of like stuck doing a rollback mechanism. We don't actually have to use that part. We could just send the inputs without rollback, or are you kind of having to buy it all at the same time?
Yeah, no, you need. You could do lockstep, kind of, or you could. So there's 2 ways you could do it. You could do. You could do lockstep, and I think that's it. And so that's basically, lockstep is the same as rollback. Like it's one of those things where lockstep is a subset of a rollback system. Like rollback is just the super set sort of.
Right.
Think about it in like a mathematical sense, I guess. So lockstep is like a special case of rollback.
Makes sense. I just I don't know. I guess my only question is whether like we won't necessarily be, because like the Pixel 3D networking libraries are fairly advanced, like with stun and NAT punch through and
right,
RLE buffers and like it's quite complicated. And so if we're just gonna use it, that's a different thing than maybe like kind of understanding it, I guess.
I mean, look, if you want to go down the very, very deep rabbit hole of like re-implementing the UDP layer and such, that's the thing we could do. But now that you say that, yes, the plan, at least for the first phase, was just to implement the serializer and the integrity check, which doesn't require a rollback system or a network, I think.
Oh, okay. So we could just basically put the safety mechanism in, but not actually network it yet. Just know that we would be screwing up a network if we had one.
Exactly. So yeah, that I think is the plan. I'd have to go and look at my notes, but
well, that gives us time to figure out what the next best thing is.
So I mean, like we can make it networked, and it's just like you just accept that we're using this big ugly old networking system that which is like a black box. Because there's the rollback library, which is all kinds of complicated, and then there's Lidgren, which is sort of old and grufty, and then there's all the patches on Lidgren, and then there's the peer-to-peer layer, and that's also kind of complex.
Sounds a little bit like we should start over, but yeah, I know that I'm basically saying let's do a screencast for the next year and on networking. Maybe that's okay.
I'm open to that, but yeah, I mean, those things are complicated for a reason. Like it's tricky code.
Well, maybe it's worth. Maybe that's actually a worthy thing, but we don't have to worry about it yet. Like we can do like you said, we can do the safety mechanism now and then worry about that later.
Exactly. So I feel like we'll do the safety mechanism, and then we'll implement the networking on the libraries, and then if we wanted to probably start a different topic later on, we could actually start doing networking. But yeah, just be warned that those libraries are old and crap and big and complicated, but any replacement would certainly be big and complicated at the very least. So
Right. Well,
all right.
sounds like a good. All right. Cool.
No worries. I will see you soon after we stop recording.